Well, he's gone viral again. He's livid over criticism on his Caitlin Clark takes. Stephen A. Smith had gotten a lot of pushback about his commentary surrounding WNBA star Caitlin Clark, including a moment he and his ESPN colleague Monica McNutt butted heads over on First Take. During a lengthy segment discussing the dust-up between Caitlin Clark and Chennedy Carter, Smith tried to boast about how First Take has extensively covered the WNBA and women's sports. But McNutt fired back with a comment that cut Smith deep. Stephen A., respectfully, with your platform, you could have been doing this 3 years ago if you wanted to, McNutt responded. And the whole world seemed to take notice. Look at Stephen A., you can tell right off the bat, he's not done with this. How dare you? Well, she dared. She did it. So the comment stuck with Smith to the point that he spent the early part of his podcast trying to push back on McNutt's comment while on multiple occasions expressing his admiration for his fellow ESPN colleague. Smith addressed the disagreement with McNutt after a lengthy rant about Clark's impact on the WNBA, saying her comments on the ESPN debate show absolutely shocked him, as only Stephen A. could say. And there's the shocked face, okay? And he's really genuinely shocked. He's perfected it. Ladies and gentlemen, I am the executive producer of First Take. You ever heard of Monica McNutt? You have now. Because she's on First Take a lot, Smith continued his response by taking aim at the people that he has taken a lot of S from before calling what he felt McNutt had said about him that was, quote, highly offensive and factually incorrect. New York Post chronicling the comments from Stephen A. I challenge anybody to find a show on sports television that discusses women's issues, that discuss the WNBA or women's sports, that highlights and profiles female analysts more than First Take. It's been going on for years, he continued. First Take has spearheaded diversity and equity. Do you have any idea how offensive it was for me to sit there and hear Monica McNutt say that about me, when I'm the one who handpicked our roster on First Take? McNutt has since spoken about the segment publicly, calling it a miscalculation on her part because she thought that her relationship with Smith had more depth. That's some damn shade right there. He should just drop it, Stephen A. I love you, brother, but come on now. You're not beyond reproach. People can criticize you too. They talk about me sighing all the time. Come on, Stephen A. It's a miscalculation on your part. She said the relationship she thought she had with Smith had more depth to where she thought she could openly ask that kind of question. I mean, what did she really say? Awful announcing with the rundown there. Monday night, McNutt further expanded on the interaction with Smith on The Daily Show with Jon Stewart. I think her days are going to be numbered because she's getting too popular now. Now she's on The Daily Show. Stephen A. not going to stand for that. Where she detailed how she disagreed with the topic leading First Take in the first place. You know, why is this the lead of the show? Conversation, John, it started about this foul over the weekend, said McNutt. Chennedy Carter for the Chicago Sky fouled Caitlin Clark of the Indiana Fever. And I'm not going to lie to you, John, if I take you through my day that morning, I get the call or the text rather, and I'm like, are we really leading sports with this? Are we really leading sports with a foul in sports? Okay, fine. Let's just do it. He tried to warn you. So we have the conversation with colleagues and friends, Stephen A. Smith, Shannon Sharp. My larger point in the conversation was the tenor and the prevailing narrative that has been created about this season's WNBA play is that it's the league versus Caitlin Clark. And that is just absolutely false. It's unfair to the women that have been there building the league to this moment so that Caitlin Clark's popularity can take it to the next level. So by the end of the show, my tone had changed and I kind of needed to put my foot down a little bit. Nothing wrong with that. Well, on Monday, days after Team USA announced its roster for the 2024 Paris Olympics, Stephen A. Smith spoke out again about Caitlin Clark being left off the list. This is about what I will personally label the idiocy of Team USA women's basketball. How dare you make this decision? It's stupid, he said, per reports. Caitlin Clark does not deserve a spot ahead of any of the players on this roster if we're talking just basketball. You know we're not. theblast.com. Although Smith claims that Clark's WNBA performance falls short compared to the current roster players, he argues that her ability to generate attention for the team should have secured her a spot. It was a stupid decision because it compromises what you ultimately have as your goal, which is to elevate the WNBA brand, he added. How could you be that idiotic? Not make that call. When throughout history, Team USA has been in part about marketing. It's dumb, period. I wish I could say it with like that little like New York accent. Well, maybe you help me. Okay. Smith is not alone in overreacting to this perceived snub. Check out these headlines. LA Times, WNBA must protect Caitlin Clark or suffer the consequences. Conservative outlet, Amuse wrote, racism cited as primary reason for exclusion of Caitlin Clark from U.S. Olympic team. Cited by who? And do they have a hood on? What are you talking about? Philadelphia Inquirer, Team USA and the WNBA are fools. Caitlin Clark is too important to be bullied and snubbed. Bill Maher. Catty WNBA stars are picking on Caitlin Clark because she's straight and white. Would you like to take the first crack at it? And if you do cite Stephen A. Woes, if you could, I want a New York accent for that because he's quintessential in his mannerisms. And I would like for you to embody that if you could. It comes naturally in some ways to you, but go ahead.
Sorry, I was on mute. I can't do a Stephen A right now, but I will say this: the whole Caitlin Clark story has, as they would say on Happy Days, it's jumped the shark. It's gotten completely out of hand. I'll say this. As somebody who's a fan of Caitlin Clark's game, her game has attracted me to want to watch her play, pay attention to her career, see the trajectory of it. I think all of the capes and all of the pearl clutching about what's happening to her as she's, going through some growing pains in the WNBA is silly. If she's as great as people think she is, this will make her better. In the long run, she'll be better for it. She'll be stronger for it. She will ultimately end up being one of the better players. If that's what she's gonna be, going through this is not going to hinder her development in any way, shape, or form. So everybody talking about, oh, the poor little white girl, and they're picking on her, and the black chicks are mean, and the lesbians are so mean, and blah, blah, blah. Like, I think that's ridiculous. On the other hand, Sharon, I'm not gonna be gaslit by these chicks and pretend that they're not putting extra sauce on it. That's ridiculous. That's just an absurd assertion to pretend that Caitlin Clark is being treated by other WNBA players like any other rookie would be treated. It's not true. So like, that's why I think the whole story has become such a farce where people are pretending that this white woman is being persecuted. And then the people in and around the league, the people that have been around forever, who are clearly annoyed by the singularity of the attention that Caitlin Clark is receiving and saying, who, us? That time that she got fouled hard for no reason. No, this happens all the time in that WNBA. When people go out of their way to be like, oh, she's not that good. I'm like, no, do we always do this? We do. It's not true, right? But I do think, to some of the, I think what people need to understand too is that for all these years, everybody's been asking for people to pay attention to the WNBA. This is it. However, you cannot curate the attention. It's going to happen the way it happens. We can't just put the kid gloves on and like treat these women all condescendingly, like they need this extra careful protect. I don't agree with that. And another thing that folks need to understand that I don't think gets talked about enough. They did a study about the viewership of the WNBA. It's 2-to-1 men to women. Double the amount of men are watching these games, and I'm sorry to break it to you guys. This is how dudes talk about sports. It's annoying, it's boneheaded, it's buffoonish sometimes. This is my industry, I get it. But this is how dudes deal with sports. It's not always going to be very nuanced, or it's not always going to be very calibrated and perfectly constructed. It's going to be freaking knuckleheaded. rigid in its nature sometimes. And I think that's part of the growing pains. We can use the NBA because oftentimes we're comparing the two. NBA coverage back in the days, especially when you talk about the 80s, early 90s, pretty much, I would say 95% white, male, was the coverage in this 70% black league. And listen, the racial sort of component of it and the insensitivities of the racial nature of the league and these white guys covering these black dudes, it was not always perfect. Guess what? We got over it. We got better. The league still grew. Nobody died in the process. And I think the WNBA coverage, as it's gotten more attention, has not been top notch yet. We're gonna go through these growing pains. Hopefully the game continues to grow and the coverage will only get better as time goes on. It's very early in the spotlight for them. Let's all just relax, Sharon.
Well, I'd like to. I'd like to relax. But you said some things that I agreed with and some things that I say, well, hell no. Come on, Wolves. It's not, it's been around long enough that guys like Stephen A. and some of these other commentators, these commentators should have more depth, okay? Monica's right. They've been around a long time. And I agree with you on the point that they're putting a little extra sauce on it, Caitlin. They don't appreciate it. It's not jealousy. It's like, excuse me, she can't hold her own against me. I mean, this is the big league now. This ain't Iowa. Okay, it's not LSU either. So yeah, they put some sauce on it. But you know who else got sauce put on it? Candace Parker. Remember how celebrated, beautiful, everything. Welcome to WNBA, Candace Parker. I didn't hear anybody really acting like it was, she's being picked on, she's being bullied, she's straight. It's ridiculous. Caitlin Clark's not good enough to make the USA team. I would have put her on it though. Same as I agree with Christian Laettner being put on it. I'm not getting playing time. But if she's the future of the league, and we can get to that next, I believe that you need to expose her to it. It's not even, I don't care if she only gets 1 minute of a scrap time at the end. But she needs to go over into international territory and experience this, because that is experience she's going to need moving forward. And so that's how you figure out who should be on the team. It's not just, let me take the greatest player. Well, then you wouldn't have the chemistry. You might not even have the depth at the right positions if that's how you're going to do it. So I think, yeah, you should put her on the team just for that reason. I also think she's a terrific player. She's broken some records and she's been bolstered and put up because this is what the league wants. Less gay, black, tatted up women. They did the same thing in another way, right? Magic and Bird will save the league. Nobody said Larry Bird wasn't a good player, but they were tired of the drugs and the thug life. That was the portrayal. You mentioned these sports writers who covered the NBA in the 80s, early 90s.
The NBA was the cocaine league back then.
Thank you.
That's what they called it. That's true.
Right. And then you had AI and Shaq too, who decided I can rap. And Shaq's was, bubblegum and great and Shrek-like. AI though was too okay.
He was busting guns in his raps.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
The do-rag, the whole style, like Mike Vick in the NFL. We needed this. And suddenly David Stern said, we're not going back to the 80s or what looks like the 80s. The dress code. They pushed Steph Curry, who is a brilliant player. Okay, this Nepo baby can play. He's brilliant. And he carries himself, and we like him. And I think that's authentic and genuine. But they pushed Steph Curry because he's not, okay?
Yeah,
so let's
Christian, the light-skinned family. It was great. We all loved it. We loved the squeaky clean.
People to come to the league, the games is buy and the sponsors and all this stuff. And that's what's going on with Caitlin Clark too. Caitlin Clark you could argue she's a dirty player sometimes.
Yeah, okay? She's a competitor.
And that was even before she was, what was this? Whatever.
You can't see me.
I see it, and I see exactly what's going on here, okay? She's a fantastic player, but she is not someone who is in the top 10 of this league, top 25 maybe, okay?
No, she's not a top 12, 15 player in America. She's not.
And if she can't hold her own against fellow WNBA players with it, look, you got to keep your head up, okay? And maybe you won't get that hard little check. You took you a long time to hit Chennedy, 24 hours, Chennedy Carter's. Then, this is a flagrant. Okay, Jordan rules. Caitlin Clark, I wish her well, but let's cut the nonsense here, okay? And for these male chauvinistic sportscasters who are flatlined, they're jealous of her. No, we're jealous of what America has done here. We built this league, and suddenly Iowa comes in. And I mean, come on. I think, Iowa's there and corn stalks all around her, and suddenly she's here to save the league. Come on. You better talk to these brothers. I've got to protect the Black woman. I love Stephen A., but he got to knock it off. And what happened was Monica, I could go on and on. She showed him up. And so he went on his next program, his little podcast. He's got a nice sweet deal for that too. I heard he's flying private, Stephen A. Okay, he's earned it.
Pretty rich,
but he went on the next show where she wasn't to keep Stephen A. drop it. And can we go on to the next? She told you not to leave with it, brother. But you didn't want to listen. You see, you guys have big heads. No woman's going to tell me what to do. Well, she told you. Now I take her side. I'll give you the last word, Woes.
Look, I actually admire Stephen A. for all he's accomplished in the business. Like, the guy has done a lot. Obviously, to get there though, it takes a certain amount of ego. It just does to be able to be on TV all day, every single day. And I think his ego was slightly bruised by the implication that he might not have been, first to the door of the coverage of the league. I would argue something completely different. I would say, I think these guys cover what the people are paying attention to. I don't think the people are paying attention to stuff because Stephen A. or somebody else covers it. That's just my opinion. Some people might disagree. Some people might disagree with that, but you know what I mean? Like when they because like people will complain. They'll be like, oh, why are you always talking about the Cowboys? And ESPN will tell you, like, we look at the numbers. Literally, people will change the channel the second we stop talking about the Dallas Cowboys.
Which came first, the chicken or the egg?
And I would say the public is mostly driving the coverage. That's just my opinion in corporate media.
Yeah, and this is America, right? Yeah, this is America. Okay, you can't separate it, and that's all I'm saying. Caitlin Clark, there's a place for her, okay, and her brand of basketball. She needs to develop the complete game. I know a little something about basketball. I heard I was recruited by Temple, but I ran track. I decided to do track, but I could have played. Okay, I could have played. And I'm telling you that she still needs to develop her full game. And you know that. Remember when Jordan came in the league? Couldn't play defense.
She got to get stronger. She has to get better at decision making. She's young. She has a ways to go before she fully realizes who she is as a player. But I will say this too. The fact that she was left off for the team, that's the kind of thing that Nike can generally push through. I think Nike got a talking to from some of the women involved, and it's like, just have her on the next one. It's a little.
I do too.
There's a lot simmering underneath the surface. Let's not sort of poison this summer with all of the nonsense that's around this year. Let's let her be on the next one.
Look, it's convenient that Nike decided to have a seat after they gave her $28 million. Again, look at your life, America. I don't care if she got the money, Woes. Okay, I'm fine with it. I'm just saying
You're fine with
that
it?
if I were some of their marquee players, men and women, Serena, LeBron, I might have called them up and said, "It's cool and all, but what about this baby girl going? Nike can make stars, okay? They can. You have to have the talent. A lot of people have the talent. Nike can make you a star and give you commercials. Spike Lee could be in a commercial, and then the next thing you know, you're a star." Okay, so I don't buy that this whole thing is, much ado about nothing. And I think some of these sportscasters, and I'm focusing on Stephen A. and other black commentators, and I've been picking them off one by one. I've been on the radio. I've been on the radio in LA, and I just let them talk first, like I did you. And I just pick them off, pick them off, pick them off. I pick them off, my brother, because they're not thinking about these other things. They fell right into the trap. And I'm going to keep doing it too, since this is still going to be a hot topic. I would have put her on the team woes, but only because I believe in that whole Christian Laettner model. She ride that pine too. You can go ahead and ride that pine, but you're exposed to the bright light, the whole thing, the practices.
I agree with you.
Okay. And then you're a big man to say, you've made some points, but I mean, come on. Admit it, I'm picking them off.